Hello and welcome to Fit to Box channel. Please like and subscribe and don't forget to jab that notifications bell for all my latest uploads. Today we've got a fight discussion about the upcoming bout between Lomachenko and Rigondeaux. First of all, before we sort of start off on that conversation, we will be talking about the last fight discussion, which was the Triple G versus Canelo Alvarez match. But firstly, just to introduce the guys, you've seen them before on previous fight discussions. We've got Alex, who's a southpaw, and we've got Damien, who's a southpaw. So two great guys to have on board for this particular discussion, which is two southpaws. So hopefully the guys will be able to give us a lot of insight into how southpaws think and how they perform. I'm an orthodox, so I'm looking at it from a different point of view. So in terms of what we're going to do, first of all, as I say, a Triple G versus Alvarez, that's what we discussed last time. Our predictions, Damien, your prediction was Alvarez?
Alvarez, maybe even, I think I said a late stoppage.
Alvarez stoppage, 8-9 rounds I've got.
Yeah, that's right. Didn't turn out that way at all. I was very surprised. I knew Golovkin was tough, but I just didn't realise how coffin nail teeth tough the guy was. Alvarez, first 6, 7, 8 rounds, put it on him and outboxed him really, but he hit him with some great shots and Golovkin just walks through. I don't get the guy. And then later Alvarez started to perhaps fade a little, run out of gas, and Golovkin started to pile on the pressure. It came out as a draw. Controversial. I personally would have said Golovkin probably on points, but I thought Alvarez could be the man to stop him. When you saw the results of the Khan fights and the Kirkland fights, I thought he had the power to stop him, but nah. Yeah,
I mean, I thought Triple G did just shade it, to be fair, which was my prediction. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the draw, we'll come to Alex now as to what his prediction was. You had Canelo on points, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I thought Canelo would. He likes to throw a lot of combination punches, and I thought that would be the key to beating Golovkin.
Did you think that he won?
Yeah, funny enough, I've watched the fight 5 or 6 times now because it was close. I watched it at the time. I thought it was close. First time I watched it, I thought, no, I think Golovkin's got this. I've watched it a couple of times. I thought maybe Canelo.
Right.
But the more I watch it, the more I think Golovkin's definitely sealed it for me. Okay.
I mean, I thought when I watched it, I thought that Triple G did shade it by a couple of rounds. I just think the whole thing was. It's a shame really because of the scoring of Adelaide Bird.
That's it.
118 to 110 in favour of Alvarez, which was ludicrous. And it was a real shame because it was a great fight and so technical when you watch some of the sort of the little clips where they're just blocking and coming back and then blocking and coming back, and it was lovely. It was great stuff. But then to have 118, 110 score at the end of a fight like that, it really made a mockery of it. And then, of course, you had the one judge had it 114, 114. There you go. And the other, Dave Moretti, he had 115, 113. Either way, a round or two, yeah. But 118 to 110. I mean, that judge should never even work another fight, in my opinion, because that's crazy. That spoiled what was a great evening of boxing with that one score. So as it was, I mean, I predicted Triple G close points, possible split decision. I was hoping for the rematch as well. So I hope they do get it on again.
It's looking likely, isn't it? They're saying next year sometime.
Yeah. It makes sense in monetary terms because that's what the promoters seem to do these days, rather than not the best versus the best. But I think that fight we did have the best versus the best, following on from what we had of Mayweather-McGregor, which was more about the money in the show. We had two genuine great fighters of this era coming together, so it's great to see. It kind of took me back to the 80s era and the Haglers and the Hearns and the Leonards coming together, and those guys. Same division as well, sort of 160-pound limit. So it's good to see it, so yeah, let's do it again, why not?
Yeah. And I mean, with these fight discussions as well, we don't do a fight discussion on any old fight or even sort of British domestic fights, that have gone, like Joshua had a fight, and we didn't sort of cover that. I want to just do these for the main sort of fights that really interest us. And that brings us very nicely onto this fight that we've got on December the 9th with Rigondeaux and Lomachenko. Now, before we start, we've got 3 different versions of how to say Rigondeaux. And I know on the channel I'll take a fair amount of stick for Adidas and Adidas and Nike and Nike. And so I'm saying Rigondeaux. I'm probably going to call him Rigo from this point on. But we've got a couple other ways of saying it. So
yeah, I've heard Rigondeaux or Rigondeaux, either really.
And Damien?
Rigondeaux.
Rigondeaux. So we've got a few different versions. So whatever you call him, we'll call him Rigo, I think, from now on. Yeah. But and then obviously you've got Lomachenko as well. And Rigo versus Lomachenko is just a great fight. It's an absolute super fight. And again, it's a proper 50-50 fight when you look at the two. It's an amazing boxing matchup. And it really is one for the boxing purists. I know, like, obviously Anthony Joshua brings a lot to the table in terms of your armchair casual fans. And some people wouldn't even know who these two guys are. I know Lomachenko, he's got a lot of videos that are on sort of YouTube and people see the real Matrix and all this. But Rigo, you know, only your purist boxing fans would probably even know who he is. And that's what makes this so great, is the fact that we're talking about a fight that some people wouldn't even know who they are, and we're really excited about it. As I said before, it doesn't get any better than this, really. You've got a southpaw versus a southpaw. So it's going to be a super tactical battle. But I think it'll be a battle of the jab, to be fair, because, you know, as you know, both of you know, against an orthodox fighter, southpaws have got you know, an advantage in that orthodox fighters are not used to fighting southpaws. Here you've got southpaw against a southpaw where, you know, will they cancel each other out?
Yeah, I think when it comes to sort of the southpaw and orthodox problem, I think with southpaws we're not really sort of used to fighting southpaws either, because we're very used to fighting orthodoxes as well. So I think the techniques and the strategies and the little tricks they use normally against orthodoxes, I don't think they'll be able to work against each other, especially someone of as high a calibre as each of them are. I think they'll struggle. Like I know Lomachenko, he does a lot of pivoting, and he goes around the outside, which is great. You can do that really well against an orthodox, but I think he'll struggle to do that against another southpaw.
It's a big part of his game, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, like southpaw, when you sort of mix off with the orthodox fighters against them, and you're always clashing feet because of your natural stance and your foot that's forward against their foot that's forward. It tends to make the two people come further apart because your feet keep clashing. You don't normally, whereas a southpaw with your feet stance, you sort of overlap, or an orthodox you overlap your stance so you're closer. So because your feet are clashing, you tend to be that much further back, so making that distance sometimes you can jump in. But obviously southpaw, they're going to be offset against each other. So you said the movement could be a factor because it's now the other way around for Lomachenko. But he's a smart man. He'll work his way around that. It just depends what he decides to do. Whether it's that kind of a breakdown. I was looking at Box Rec and I think his last 3 fights, Mariaga, Sosa and Walters, they were all retired. I think it was all from seeing those fights. They all went to their corner and just said, "I can't come out." It was a bit one of the no-mass situations where they all just, I think that's what he does. It's not a case of he knocks them flat and he stops them, but he puts them down, but he just breaks them, and he just not so much breaks their body, he breaks their will. And the guys are just sitting in the corner thinking, what am I supposed to do? I can't, there's nothing I can do. And either they just like, I can't carry on, or the corner says, look, save yourself for another day, this guy's just breaking you apart. It could be just a similar case again, he breaks the guys down.
And I mean, Lomachenko is something, he's a real special talent. I know we spoke just before, and we'll speak about it now, about the training videos that have been coming out. If you want to touch on that, Damien.
Yeah, they're just the training videos where you normally see people on pads or on bag work, and you see them going through various techniques, or they're working away and sweating away in the gym, or they're skipping, whatever. Lomachenko's videos, the last 3 I've seen, there's one where he's on a light board and he's doing his reflexes, and as the light appears he's tapping the screen. Another one where he has 4 coins in the back of his hand, he's flipping the coins in the air and catching them all as they're coming down. Another one where he's doing this sort of strength exercise where he's going across the ring doing a handstand, and he pushes himself off like a vertical press up, and then lands on his knuckles and then pushes himself off and lands on the flat. So I've not seen him with a pair of gloves on in this sort of camp. I'm sure he is, obviously, but you just don't see it. So it's just unusual techniques where he's looking at reflexes. So whether he's trying to give anything away or that's what he's going to go for, because that's naturally what I would think he would do. Fighting the older man, he would go for the engine, because we know he's got such a good engine. He goes again, same old formula for him. He breaks people down, and he just frustrates them. His movement, his hand speed, and they're hitting thin air. So we'll see. It'd be interesting if he decides to go down that route again.
Yeah, Alex, how do you think Lomachenko's going to fight?
Yeah, I think for me it's a clash of styles. I mean, obviously they're both slick southpaws, but I think Lomachenko, like Damien says, he breaks you down, so he doesn't throw particularly hard punches. He throws lots of punches, like volume punches. So he'll get you in a position, he'll throw lots and lots and lots. Whereas Rigondeaux, he sort of, he picks his shot very well, doesn't he?
He's waiting, isn't he? Yeah.
And he hits the big one. So I think Lomachenko, I think he approaches the fight as he would normally. Obviously there'll be tricks, like I said, he can't use, but I think if he just throws as many punches as he normally does, I can't see. Yeah.
I mean, I'd look at the obviously you got Rigo, who is an undefeated pro. His amateur record of 463 fights and 12 losses, which is absolutely unbelievable. And then you've got Lomachenko, who his amateur record was 396 fights and 395 wins with one loss, which I believe he avenged that a few times or a couple of times. So, I mean, those two have got amateur records. They've got to be the best amateur records, of all time. Absolutely, both of them will have seen stuff. There's nothing that these guys wouldn't have seen.
Yeah.
And now they're being pitted against each other.
That's crazy.
I mean, from my point of view, I think obviously Lomachenko, his footwork is amazing. He uses the angles and he steps around. Whether or not he'll be able to do that as effectively against another southpaw, we'll see. He uses a lot of feints, and of course he has got that tremendous body punching that he does. It looks like he's just taking like scythes out of people's bodies. High volume, as you say, Alex, and fast combinations. So he is going to be tough to beat. But then if we come on to Rigo, I mean, how do you think he'll fight Damien Rigo?
Again, looking at some of the footage of his recent fights, the last few years, he's not fought a lot of rounds. And he tends to, looking at a fight earlier against James Dickens, where the first round, pretty much the first punch he threw, he spent the whole round sort of stalking his man and waiting, and the first punch he threw, he broke the guy's jaw. Yeah. And then, obviously, end of the first round, they just said, "Look, guy, you can't carry on," and the fight was stopped. Yeah. So I think a similar thing, because of the alleged age of whatever Rigo is. I mean, I think BoxRec has him at 37. Yeah. 37 years old. Yeah, it does.
Some people think he's older, don't they?
Yeah, there's the rumour that he's older than this, but as it states here officially, they're saying he's 37. Lomachenko's 29. You'd imagine that fight tactic would be a case of that he's more static, and like in these similar fights you've seen recently, he's sort of stalking and waiting, letting him move around, do what he wants, and like sniping, and then bam, a big shot down the pipe, and trying to stop them or do the damage that way. So that I see no difference. I'll be very surprised if he's on the offensive and working away like crazy at Lomachenko. That would just
I don't think that will happen. No.
Because that's how I'd see Lomachenko approach the fight. I think Rigondeaux will sit back, know that his man's going to come onto him, and then look for the counter punch as he's coming forward, and that's always 10 times worse. Hitting someone, but you hit someone as they're coming onto you. That's real damage. Yeah.
Alex, what do you reckon?
Well, I saw a clip actually on YouTube a couple of weeks ago of Rigo in camp. Something he was doing he was on the pads with his trainer. And something he was doing, he was sort of going around in a circle, if you like, with his trainer, and he was sort of like it was almost as if he was training for Lomachenko's pivots.
Right, okay.
That's what it looked like. So he was going around the circle. So he'd wait for it was as if he'd wait for Lomachenko to pivot and then hit him with it was like a 3-punch combo. Yeah. And it was so I think he's looking at Lomachenko and he's thinking what does he do, which I can pick up on and then counter on, because I think it's going to be such a tight match. Yeah. Skill wise, I think they need to look at each other in detail and see where they can capitalise really.
Yeah. Definitely. I think Rigo's backhand His counter punching, I think, is going to be key for him, because he is all about that sort of that rhythm and the timing, and if he can time it right as Lomachenko's coming in, you know, he's also got great head movement and his footwork as well as Lomachenko's footwork. Rigondeaux' footwork is excellent as well.
He does good pivots as well.
Yeah. He does a lot of bending at the waist as well, just so that the punches are flying over his head and he's just bending at the waist, and he's moving back and forward with his feet. The natural weight, the weight favours Lomachenko. Simply because he's the heavier man. Some people even think that Rigondeaux can fight still at 118. But I know that, Damien, you were saying about the weight clause.
Yeah, there's an article that because naturally Lomachenko at 130, when he rehydrates, is probably looking at 140, 145 or maybe more. They put a clause in place where they're actually saying that there's a limit of 138. So obviously that would favour Rigondeaux more and make it probably fairer, because obviously he's coming up 2 weight classes to fight Lomachenko. So yeah, there's that clause in place. The article, it's 138 limit. So there's the weigh-in, so they're going to make 130, and the weigh-in I think in the morning of the fight. So second weigh-in, and he can't be above 138. So it's quite strict rules. So there's no just great rehydration. Lomachenko then is like something like 15-20 pounds heavier.
I think that's a good clause for him to have in. To be fair, especially if, as people say, he could still fight at 118, 120. You know, I mean, the guy is coming up quite a fair amount already, and then after the weigh-in, he doesn't want to give away even more. Let's just go with the predictions then, Damien. What do you reckon?
If I go with my head on as I have in most predictions, I'll make a point that the last 2 fights I've got wrong.
I wasn't going to remind him of that.
Whether it's third time lucky, but I tend to go with what I just common sense would say Lomachenko on points. There is that sneaky part of me that just thinks it will be Rigondeaux will do that counter punching and we'll just put something down the pipe and we'll catch him, but I'd like to say that, but I'm just going to go with common sense that Lomachenko, just the usual, breaks him down, overworks the older man, frustrates him, and just gets it on points. Doesn't really do any great damage. Not necessarily put him down, but will just frustrate him and come out on points.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a close one, obviously. But I think it's going to be Lomachenko. And I think there's a chance he might break him down. I think the size might be too much for Rigondeaux, and I think obviously he's not slow as Lomachenko. So with that size and that speed, he's gonna have that weight. I think
youth as well.
Yeah, I think he might do what he's done in the past couple of fights. I think he might even retire Rigondeaux in the corner.
Right. Okay.
I think he might. You know.
Really?
Yeah. Obviously Rigondeaux's great.
Yeah.
But I just think I watched Lomachenko. Now I've watched videos of him side by side. I think this Lomachenko's on another level, you know.
Yeah.
And I think Rigondeaux is class as well.
Yeah, he is. He absolutely is.
That's why it's a great fight, because the 2 guys that are class.
Yeah.
And now it's just cutting the fine, you know.
Yeah.
Fine edges off to find out who is that much better.
Yeah.
Interestingly, whether it makes a difference or not, but you say with the size and the weight, Lomachenko's 2 inches taller.
Right.
But Rigondeaux's reach is 2 inches bigger than Lomachenko's. You've noticed about Lomachenko, he's quite short in the arm.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting on the jab. Rigondeaux's always got that extra bit on him, which is why I think the counter could be so important, because he knows that if he can hit me, I know I can hit him.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, the 2 southpaws have actually gone with Lomachenko. I'm going to go with Rigondeaux. I think that he might just wait and get them counter punches in. And I'm not so certain that those fantastic angles that Lomachenko normally uses, that they're all going to be available to him. And I just think you've just got this older guy that, you know, with his 463 amateur fights, that has seen everything, and he might just be sort of just in waiting.
Yeah, setting traps.
Yeah, setting traps, just in waiting, waiting for him to come in, and then unleashing sort of this backhand, and doing it often. So, you know, it's a super interesting fight, hence why we've had this fight discussion now. Hopefully one of us is right this time. I think last time we we jokingly said on the Alvarez Triple G after we'd all done our fight predictions that it might be a draw. I think James said that he was edging his bets and said it was going to be a draw. He was actually right, but we're not going to do that this time. No. So there's our predictions. It should be an absolutely fantastic fight. Really, really looking forward to it. Hope that it's not going to turn into a boring fight. Although us as sort of
too technical, and it's like a chess match, and they end up not committing.
Yeah, but even that, for people like us that love our boxing, I think that might be still interesting. Even though somebody watching it who likes a good tear up might be thinking, "What a rubbish fight." We'll be a little bit more interested in the intricacies of what both of them are trying to do.
You know, you said there. Sorry, you said you went for Rigo. How? Because we realised that sort of saying points.
I think points. I think points. I think points. I don't see either of them getting knocked down or out. Perhaps a knockdown, but not knocked out.
No.
I can't see either of them getting knocked out. Interesting that Alex says that perhaps it might get to the stage where Rigo sort of quits on his stool. But no, I think points. I think points definitely.
Sure.
So anything else that you want to add at this point?
No, I think when you said about it being a potentially boring fight, I don't think Lomachenko can do a boring fight. You know, cause I think he's so.
He moves too much, doesn't he?
I hope not. I hope it's a cracker. I absolutely hope it's a cracker. I really do. So I just hope that there's two styles don't cancel each other out. But even then, as I say, I think it will be an interesting, if not a cracker.
Definitely.
So there you go. We will revisit the next big fight that comes up. We'll revisit and we'll go over our predictions. Hopefully, one of us has got it right this time. But please like and subscribe to Fit to Box channel, and I shall speak to you soon.